the 40.
Okay, I have started recording.
Hello?
Up, I'm able to hear you.
No, can you make me the host? I'm not able to share.
Okay, just try now.
Uh, hey, so what has on?
Just a minute. No, not yet. Okay.
You guys see some error from me?
Yeah, you didn't import, right? Export.
So what we did is we borrowed, rendered this as a new component as a navbar. So any styling or whatever you wanted to do, you can do it. So you can add some navbar. That's
Praveen, your voice is not clear.
now what I'm saying is why we are making as a component, as you already know that you can keep the component and the styling separately. So that's why import navbar.css. Okay. So what we'll do is we add some class header, say, some background, class name over there, header, class name, add cup, and what we can do is can say display as a flex. Flex direction would say as a row. Okay, right. Got it. The display flex property and the header that UL property. Header UL I see style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chill, day, place of padding. Let's say justify content center. Let's say some padding and add some content. Added some margin. You have to add a padding for the LI and okay. So okay, good. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't think so. I don't think so. You guys need to clean. I mean, do some CSS stuff. It's just that you have to make sure you have this, right?
Okay.
Because this takes some time for setting up the CSS. You guys continue with creating an navbar.js and wrap it using header tag and add the nav tag, UL, and some.
Praveen, your voice is not at all clear, Praveen. It's breaking.
Hey, okay. So now what you guys do is you guys create a header tag and
Uh-huh.
what is shown in the screen you guys can follow along. Maybe you can get rid of creating a CSS file, but you can create a
The CSS class, we can put that. It's okay. It's okay.
want a CSS. Okay, let me give the CSS.
Yeah.
I'll share in the chat, create a nav.css in the same thing and add these classes. Let me know if you guys have set up Abad.
What's- what do you add the browser routers
What's the bro?
in
No, no, you guys let
index.j?
no no you let me know. Have you done this?
Yeah, this way.
This one have you done?
Yeah,
Okay, cool. So you imported this into app.js like this.
yeah. Navbar.navbar.
Okay. Also, you added into your as a first element. I mean, first
Yeah.
component.
One
So you are able to see this.
second, one second.
Your headphone stuck anywhere.
Bro,
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting error on app.js.
What is that?
I imported the neighbor,
Okay.
but what's showing an error on that return statement. We are giving the neighbor, right? We are calling that
Okay.
in app.js.
Okay.
One second.
No, no. You tell me. Is it something similar to this? You have your navbar, the
Yeah,
way
no,
what
no,
I'm.
no, 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 one second. Yeah, it's not, okay. So
See, always remember.
I forgot to give that export.
Okay, that's what it will. It will tell you the error, man. Also, see one thing when you're writing a React application, you should remember it should be wrapped with a single element. I mean, single div or maybe React fragment. You remember React fragment is nothing but empty tag like this. You should write multiple tags below this. So if you are not React fragment, you can wrap it with a single element and make sure you're exporting. And also, there is something I wanted to tell. If you remember, we are importing navbar as a import navbar from navbar, but we are importing React router DOM with the inside a curly parenthesis. If you guys remember, do you know the difference between this and that?
It's a component.
This is called named export.
This is
What?
destructuring,
This is
right?
called, this is destructuring, but I'll tell you this is a named export.
Hmm.
This is not exported with the default.
Hmm.
This is
Okay.
exported as like this. Export
Oh,
const like that, right?
okay.
So when you are doing without a default, it will become named export. So you have to use it as a named import only.
Why do we want to use? What is the difference between named import and this one?
See, sometimes you don't want to export everything, right? So let's say imagine you are writing a utility function, right? You don't want to include everything into your component. You want something from utility and you have to use it, right? Even though your component you are writing n number of utility functions, but you want one or other 10 functions, imagine you are writing. So this is a single component, right? Imagine if you are writing a function like const calculate, right? And you will be writing a comma b as an input, and you are processing, and then you are returning a plus b, right? So what you'll do is you simply export them as export calc, something like that. Similarly, you write 10 functions like this: 10 a const summarize, blah 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 blah. So now you want to export everything because they are not sharing the single thing, right? They are different things. So you want to export multiple things like export calc, export summary, comma you do, right? Once you do that, and in your example you can import using only the name word because they are not exported using a default a keyword.
Oh, that means you can export. You can import only what is required.
Yes, export default versus named export. If you see, export was named, export default versus named. Okay. So what is export versus name? See, these are like, see, they're exporting as a, as I said, right? They're exporting export const like this, component one, export const component two. but they are not exporting export default component one, right? So when you are doing directly export const or something like that, these are called as a named export, and you have to import as a named import only. So this you often see inside a React library, right? Some
Okay.
third party library you may have to import as a named one. See, very simply to tell, if you remember React, okay, let me show something with React. See, I can use simply I can import React from React, right? Right? Then in order to create a class-based component, what I'll do, I'll write it like React.component, right?
Hmm.
Remember, but I can export component as separate thing. So instead of using React.component, I can use only component. I can say class component extends component instead of React.component. So you could imagine, it's a named exports should be used as a named import, but a default export can be imported default. But don't get confused, but just remember, if it is not exported using a default keyword, they are called a named exports, and they should be imported using named,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So cool. So all set now. So we are getting this screen.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we are getting this, and so we created our navbar today and some body section today. So let us dive into the slide, right? So as we said, for the React web applications, we have React Router DOM as a package to support routing concept. So that has a two APIs, I mean interface for us to use inside a React app. One is a browser router, another one is hash router. So we all know what is a hash router that uses a hash at the end of it, as like today we are using in our applications. There is something called browser router that uses only the path of it. So something like this. So slash these are this is the path and this is the params, right? So in order to use an application like this kind of application, you can use uh, this one, I mean browser router. And if you want to use an application with the hashings that we are having, you have to use the hash router. So
So
I won't be covering as,
the browser
sorry.
router is using the path, right?
Yeah. I mean it won't consider your hash.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
I will not be covering hash router today, but I'll be covering browser.
if your application need to have both, you need to write both the routers, is it? Both the APIs.
uh, I think you don't need that actually. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you why.
Yes.
Okay, so browser router is uses the history object which is there in the browser, history dot something, right? So when you go to your console, you can type history, right?
Mm. Mm.
You can say go back, history dot push. Push state, is it something push state? I don't know. Not a push state. Is it supposed to be push, right?
I think you can't push explicitly, right?
No, you can't push explicitly, but I'll tell you that also you can do. Replace history dot push supposed to work here. History.
I don't know if you can push it. That is handled by the browser, right? I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, let's see.
How to push it? I think okay, yeah, that is yeah. I think yeah, that is handled by browser, and the React router has access to that. We'll talk about that. Okay, so that's why I've said like
How does
so
React have access to that? It is a JavaScript API, right? How does it
so
have the
just
browser? I mean, those
I
level.
think it is mentioned like they're using HTML5 REST history API. So they are getting hold of it for some reason.
It is a history API. It will be available for us also, no?
Okay, let us see. History,
Okay. I'm just asking because how can they get? Because if we are not getting, they should also not get, no?
history. Once again, let's create a new history.
Uh,
How to do that? Uh,
No,
Create.
history is a singleton component. You cannot create history. You'll have to
What is
use.
what is this class, by the way? What is this function, by the way?
It's a ready-made function, right? It's already a singleton object. The object is already created. You can
Okay,
only
location.
add list to it. You can only add or move back and forth.
Okay, location dot replace. What it does? You can say slash home. Okay, that does location dot replace and the TTD. Okay, that does. So
Now check
we'll
the
have
history. Now check the history. Now you have added two things, right? You change the
yeah
URL time. Now check the history. History back.
history. History back is fine. History dot go back on all that. History
It's a
dot
function.
back.
Okay, it's going back.
Yeah, I think something they are doing like this. I mean, they are pushing a state and all that. So it is mentioned in the document they are using history API. So they are playing around,
Oh,
right? So how they are doing, I have to see. Maybe on the go we'll try to explore something.
okay.
Okay. So one thing is, as we said, browser router is something like this, where hash router is something like this, right? So
Hmm.
just for the name, right?
Uh,
Router creates a history object, keeps track of a current location, history dot location. What is this? History dot location. Okay, I don't know. Okay, and also previous location as a stack. When the location is re-rendered and all the stuff pushed and replaced. How does history has a method called push and replace? Now, what is this? Is it a push state or what?
no, it says only push, right? Yeah, push.
But we will end up using a push. I'll
Sorry.
just take it there. I'll say history dot push in native. History dot push. What is specific to React?
Maybe React is maintaining internally, I mean, it is
But
it is having object or separately maybe.
we'll explore that. I just don't know. Okay. Okay. Now, as we all meet these, no, go back and go forward and all that. I don't know whether they are attaching these things as a
Yeah,
part of history,
yeah, maybe.
right?
Yeah,
We'll we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Okay. Now, one thing what we are talking in the very initial step is whenever you click on this, you eventually see network, right? You keep getting the refreshing the page, right? But this is not an optimal scenario. Whenever you are creating a single page application, you don't need
right.
to do that,
Yes.
right? So this is not optimal one.
Yeah.
So to first solve that issue, React has introduced one component called link. Okay, so
What is
let
it?
us you can link. So
Link.
let
Okay.
us use this one React router DOM and say link. So now what we'll do is we will replace all the A tags into
Link.
all the A tag into link. This is some shortcuts are there. I don't know. Should I learn? I should learn that very quick. So you guys also can do this.
Yeah. So okay. This is in the
Import
JS, right? Okay. So
React
import.
router.
Showing an error.
What? What error?
Link. You should not use link outside a router.
Okay, I'll tell you one thing. Is it that error is coming to me? No. Yeah, I understand that error. No problem. No problem. So what you guys do is go to app.index.js and import browser router,
Okay.
like, or else simply import browser router. You can get rid of this as router. This is like giving a custom name,
Okay.
alias. You can get rid of alias or you can keep the alias. So
Browse.
wrap your app in this one.
Wait. Just so browser router as from yeah. Okay. Okay. That
See,
is
I'll tell you, wait, you don't type it, okay? You always say import and open curly parenthesis and type the package name, okay? And now you come to the curly, inside a curly, you type what you want.
oh okay. You'll get the okay.
You won't end up in spelling mistakes. And one more thing to add, this is a alias. This is not something React, maybe,
Yeah.
you understood. You are naming a custom.
Got it.
So you can still wrap it using a browser router instead of a router, because this is, I can say Praveen also, since it's alias.
So the app has to be inside the router, right? Okay.
Yes. So that means you have to wrap it so that other child components will have access to all that thing.
So I'm getting error. Just a minute. Let me see what the error is. Router. You should use link out. You should not use link outside of router. Okay. So what should I do?
No, what did you do? You added a router as a wrapping the app.
Yeah.
Browser router. Router. Okay.
Then you imported a link inside your nav bar. Is it?
Link inside the app. Yeah, that is also done.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
replaced all the a tag to link.
So you're getting that error. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Variant fail. You should not use link outside a router. Okay.
So
Can you go to index.html? Can you go to the index.html? Index.js? I think I've been missing something here. Yeah.
Router in okay, router inside the
okay, or else what you can do is, instead of importing it here, router. Okay, just a minute. Whether I get that error. I don't get that error for some reason. Even though if I use link, this, so this error you guys are getting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just the solution. Can you check importing a browser router like this? So as a named export, and then
It should be where in the index.js. Okay. Browser router as router. That is also correct.
you refresh your page, you will get it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know when I saved it, it was not getting refreshed automatically.
Yeah, maybe I
But
don't
when I
know. So
refresh
now
the
it's
page,
working.
yeah, now it's working.
Okay, so now it's not
But
now.
the
It's
route
working.
is not happening. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. So let us wrap this things this to here into another one. Anyhow, you guys keep it aside. So let me wrap it. So what I do is React router DOM, the router. Okay, okay, so what I do, wrap everything around browser router here. This is something similar to that. So what I do now, all set. Oh yeah, sorry. One thing I forgot to tell you guys, maybe. So here in the navbar, we specified href, right? Instead, you have to use a two.
Okay, link to one.
Link it to.
Save, save. Now it should navigate up.
Yeah, it is.
Perfect.
Now it
So
is.
for yeah, perfect. Now, but eventually you guys see it won't refresh the URL, right?
Yeah.
Time limiter kada. The meeting now has unlimited. Oh, okay. The meeting now has unlimited minutes. Super.
Browser router.
Network. Okay.
No,
So
this
when
is simply I'm again doing this. You guys don't worry. So
yes.
you can wrap it using a named thing or anything of such.
Okay. Yeah. Now there is no network activity. Nothing is getting downloaded. Yeah.
Okay, so cool. So this is the purpose of your link tag. Okay, so link tag prevents an application reloading, but it uses the again a tag only. Okay, so
So link is a JSX component or a HTML component? It's not HTML, right?
no, it's a JSX. If you want, you can go to the navbar and you can click on that, and you see there they written some function thing, something like this. So what is this? They're having some component definition somewhere. This is quite complex to read because I don't
Types.
know all this TypeScript stuff, so I'll not hitting my head around. Okay,
Okay.
so now we have this. Okay, now there is one fundamental part is missing here. How do you see a link which is active now?
Mm.
Right? Always all are in the same color. There is no fundamental difference which is active and which is not. So
Yes.
React is another component called navlink where you can use this component where you can specify change all your link into navlink now.
Mm-hmm.
Change it, and you can add something called active class. Active,
So we can remove the link right now. Link is
yeah,
not.
yeah, that is not required. See, there is something called active class name, and you can specify its class name. I'm active. So I'll say active. So I'll go to the navbar CSS, then I'll add a class name called dot active. Uh, let's say I'll add a background color to something. Let's say some red. You guys see now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with the nav link, you can decorate your active links. Okay.
So Navlink, what is the class you need to provide? Or show me the class again.
That is a property, it's a prop that you can use as an active class name.
Active class.
You see
Active class.
anything you don't have to type. If you are in a component, if you type active style or active class name, that will prompt automatically.
Active class name. Okay, active class name. Right. Then you make the
You go
class.
to your navbar.css and add this.
Yeah.
And if you are too much tired of using a class name, you can use active style, and you can pass JSX style object as a color gray. You can pass an inline style also for that matter. You see? Only for that the color will come because I've added active style. That is a component. Okay, so I think this is getting better now. Okay, so where we are now, we installed it. So, but now we never reach the ultimate goal, right? So we never rendering the component, right? We are simply added a nav link. We are simply paying whether it is navigating or not, all the stuff. But our ultimate aim is whenever you're going to order page, it has to list all my orders, right? So
Yeah.
likewise, when I'm coming to home or when I'm coming to about, when I'm coming to career or offer, so it has to render only that portion. Okay. So what I mean by that portion, for example, let us create some component const home, and you can create this in a separate file also, but I will uh, render it here as a h1. I'll say I'm home. So I can use home here. Is it possible? Okay. So there is another component React router gives, that is called route. You can import route into the app.js from the library called React router DOM. So there is a component route, right? Use a route and say route and then path home and then do it further home. Okay, once again, let me check. Ooh, I got my home. Okay, just a minute, I'll show the code again. So we imported a component called route. Then we added this line, and before that, you make sure you are creating a custom component called home,
Hmm.
right?
So ideally, this
You
will be
can
a file, right?
this you can export into a new file and name it as a home, and then you can add any further improvement and all the stuff. Because I'm not doing it, I added it to the same file, and I've added this. Okay, now let us add multiple things like that. Okay, let's home, so let's home. Oh shit, sorry for that.
How
So, uh, sorry, Shijo. What is that?
route path equal to home, right?
Yeah, route space path. So one is about, and another one is contact. Another one is offer. Now let us copy paste this and create new components for all that matter. So we'll say contact. We'll say offer. We'll say what's that? About. I'm about. I'm contact. I'm offer. I'm about. Yeah. Okay. So now let's change all that stuff. Offer. Let us add offer. Okay, I added the offer. Let me include a contact here. Okay, just stop me, wherever you guys are stuck. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is quite interesting and very easy topic. Okay, so just
Yeah, it was interesting for sure.
so let me do one thing. If I is it visible? Too much, yeah? It's
Not
going to
yet.
too much. Okay, let me minimize the. I mean, this thing that you will have some space to see. I'll already start. Next file. Shall I copy paste this?
Yeah, but
I'll send
before,
you the
yeah,
Yeah.
send you the components. You paste it underneath it
yeah.
because typing takes some time. And after that, paste all the route which I is sending it now. After the navbar and hello, and see whether all is working, and make sure you're
Yes.
importing route.
Yes. Okay.
Hello. ಸರ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಮನೆ ಮುಂದೆ ಓಕೆ ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ ಬಂದೆ ஒரு கொரியர் வந்திருக்கு ஐ ஜஸ்ட் பைட் அண்ட்
Hello. Sujoy, is it working?
Yeah, it's working.
So the other one I have to write after the navbar. Okay. Route is not defined. That means I have to define. Okay. This has to be written in this one, right? Okay, just a minute. Okay, nav. It has to be written in nav.js. So open curly brackets as yeah, router, and then you say router. Okay. Again, it says route is not defined. Why is it? Okay. Okay. Yeah. So okay. So where is page? So the link will always have a underline, is it? What's it?
So this is working for everyone.
Yeah.
Cherry.
That for href also you have underline, right?
Okay, guys, I'm okay. Yeah.
Sorry, Sujoy, what something you are saying?
No, just me. Yeah.
No,
Yeah, go on, please. What you are saying?
No, nothing.
For
So
it-
what I'm asking is link will always have the underline, right?
Yeah, that you can get rid of, right? Text decoration, none you give. See, it's a link component, but eventually it's a anchor tag only.
Ah.
Okay, you always end up seeing the HTML only.
Mm.
Maybe
Got it.
flavors that do something, but they are HTML end of the day.
Mm.
And you might can ask one question: why we are starting a route from here? Why not from the top?
Okay, that is how the page is displayed, right? If you want to display the page below the
Yeah. So
navbar.
you don't have to navbar to re-render, right? You
Yeah.
don't want to change navbar. You don't want to change this. Imagine you have a sidebar. You don't have to wrap it all together. You want to wrap only the content which is going to change. If you have a
Yes.
sidebar, put the sidebar here and wrap it around, right?
Yeah.
So that's why we use that. So the ultimate aim is when you add a link or a extra for a tag, it automatically looks for route, which is a matcher, which looks for a path and that assigns to it, right? Now ultimately, you guys see something is happening here. Now home is not going away.
Mm.
You guys know why? I simply change slash home into slash,
Okay.
right?
So that will become a static route, is it?
No, no. So I'll tell you that. So now you tell me the slash is matching everywhere,
Uh,
Okay.
right? So
mhm.
it always renders a home and all together after the any matches, right?
Mm.
So what you can do is you can take this route and what will happen? Let's see. We can put it this in down. But still it renders. Fine. So what you can do is there is a keyword called exact. Okay, exact keyword called exact.
Mm.
If you pass it, it will render only it matches,
Okay, okay. Mm.
right? So, and you have to remember one thing. It starts looking from the top to bottom. Okay.
Okay.
Now ultimate problem is home is not rendering. You know why?
What is it? What is it?
Home is not rendering.
Because it didn't find the exact
No,
match.
no, it's
Yeah, right. So we don't have anything called slash. So if we go and adjust in slash home, now it will work,
Mm.
right?
Right.
Okay, cool. So now, how to solve this? See, I can put exact and all that, but how to sort out this? Because some or other way it run into a problem, right? So, so what to do is React has provided another component called switch. I think from the word you will come to know it's like a switch case that wraps your routes.
Uh-huh.
So switch case we know it matches only one, right?
Mm.
One case it will execute.
Yeah.
Let us do one thing. Wrap it here. Remove this. But oh, something has happened again. Do you know why? Now none of the things are rendering. Only home is always getting added. Do you know why?
Because the cases are not defined, right?
No, already we defined it, right? For a slash you go to home,
switch.
slash about you go to this and all that.
But since it is a switch, it has to execute just one, right?
Yes. So what we can do is we can solve this by putting this at the very last. You can change the order,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
It works.
Yeah.
Or else as we do, we can add an exact keyword for that,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
So then it will render only when slash home is that,
Mm.
right?
So actually,
So
it is definitely not our typical programmatic switch, right? Where you have to define cases, and if you don't put a break, it will execute everything.
yeah, that's you have to carefully decide it. So that's what
Yeah.
this is separate, right?
No, when you
So now,
say programmers usually think about the programming language switch, right? So that is not typically this one.
yeah.
Mm.
it execute only one
Yeah.
out of this
Right.
definition.
Typical is
Right?
a typical programmatic switch. We don't put a break statement; it will execute everything, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what.
So now, what much more here in this? There is something called render. Okay. So imagine you are not defining any component for now. Let's say what render does is render takes callback function. Then you can return your again some HTML node. You see,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
See, not only this, you can write some JavaScript condition or something. Imagine, I'll come back to that. Like a logged in user only can see the admin page and all the stuff, right? So
Yeah.
when you want to do such thing like that, you have to use a render only, because inside a render only you can check the conditions, right?
Hmm.
This is one way. There is other one. So we are specifying a component under the route closing and open, right? There is
Uh-huh.
other property called component. Okay, there you can simply specify the component name. It is same as what you're wrapping this.
Okay. Okay. So it can be defined somewhere else. It will look for that component and it will update it there, right?
Yeah, so eventually you can write a JSX here also.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these are the very basic fundamentals what we have seen. Okay. Now coming to the slide back, what we did, we are wrapping the browser router around our app that we did, and we imported a browser router from React Router DOM.
Yeah.
We added our first route, right? So there are three ways you can render, as I said: render and component and wrap it, right?
Yeah.
And we have seen almost all the components except the redirect. Redirect, I'll come back. Right? We seen a link and we seen the route, we seen the switch, we seen the nav link, right? A
Yeah.
route will have the property called path, exact, component, and render, right? So we know what is exact. Exact is trying to match exactly that, right? But we never talked about something called strict. Okay. I think if you are not able to understand, tell me, I'll tell you this. See, for example, the path we provide like slash about, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
But what if we provide like this? It won't match with anything, right? So what
Yeah.
I'm saying is, if you add match this kind of scenario like a slash contact slash, you have to use another keyword called strict. So that comes like exact, strict.
Okay.
So if you add it, what will happen? If you go to contact, it works, right? But what happens if you change this URL into slash contact slash? Now you see what will happen. It's not rendering, right?
Hmm.
So there are scenarios you have to render the route using the ending slash also. There are situation not. In order to consider the routing with the slash, you have to add the strict.
Hmm. Hmm. Got it. Hmm.
That is a less priority for now. Okay, now there is another thing comes, right? Let us use, we definitely end up this, not found, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. If you, yeah. Yes.
So let's say H1, the page you are looking for, something, right? The page you are looking for no longer exists. So what we'll do is, there is something called route. So route you use, and then path you use star, use star, and component you use, then you say not found and self closing. Okay. Ooh, that's all not found,
Hmm.
right? I
Yeah.
think without a path also it should work. I'll haven't seen that. Yeah. Right. So you can use a star or else you don't have to. That will take you to this. But something is refreshing for some reason. Yeah, that will always does, right? See, now we solve the problem of the not found also, right? Okay, let's use a path with a star just for a standard practice. So, okay, this I'll cover also. Sometimes what happens is if we are trying to edit some forms and all the stuff, and user is trying to go back to another route, right? You remember
From the form, let's
IGOD,
say, got it. Mm.
so we have that stuff, right? The same stuff, this one, prompt.
So whenever you want to exit a route, right?
No, no, yeah, changing to another route. See,
Yeah.
already you are there, you are trying to switch to a route, not closing the tab.
Yes.
See, IGO has the closing stuff, right? Window.conf closer stuff. But
Uh,
this is similar kind of alert only, but not to the close time, but on to the changing the different route. Imagine I could say like this, okay? You have a component, you have a form, and there is a use state or a state thing, and say editing false, right? If you start focusing the tab and trying to enter, it is an editing true, right? When you're editing true and you're clicking about button, right?
uh,
The state is already saying editing true, right? And if you're trying to switch it, it will throw some error alert message saying that you are about to exit this page because you're already editing, something like
yes.
that, right? So for that matter, you can use it. So it will have two property called when and the message. The when is nothing but is editing true, and the
Okay.
message is sorry you want to leave.
So when is anything that we define, right? Any condition that we define.
When is something the truth of the situation.
That's all. That is a
See,
condition that we define.
yes, we
Anything.
define. We'll say when this condition met and they are trying to switch to another route, you prompt them saying that or you wanted to leave.
Mm.
So that's what I said. You are in a registration form and you wanted to register and you started filling something and suddenly you are trying to navigate another page and you are setting a state as editing true because state is some piece of information that re-renders the page, right? You know that.
Right.
Yeah. So you can use the state here and all the stuff and you can use it. Okay. Okay. Now comes another one. What happens if you use like this? If you before you wrap this browser router before the link and what happens? We seen some error right now.
Mm.
Link cannot be used outside the router.
Outside the road. Yeah.
That's what that is.
Mm.
And there is something called protected route and there is something called hooks. So now coming to the important part for a protected route and nested route, because so far we never had a situation called protected and nested route. Okay. So what we'll do is, you remember you asked me one question. Can I create um, ES6 class,
Uh,
right? I'll
yeah.
say auth this. Let
Uh,
me create class auth or auth. I'll say you can name it anything auth, and I'll say constructor. I'll say this dot authenticated equal to false because I never logged in. And what I'll do, I'll say sign in. I'll say this dot authenticated equal to true. I'll say sign off. I'll say this dot authenticated equal to false. I'll add one method get what sorry. I'll say this dot authenticated. So
it
what
has.
to return? Now I created a ES6 class. What I'll do is I'll do export default new auth,
Uh,
right? So now what we'll do, we'll import this. So to do that, what we'll do is we'll go to the navbar first. In
okay.
navbar, what I'm thinking, I'll add some button. Okay, I'll add some button. I'll say login. I'll say logout. So let us import the auth. So we'll add on click equal to, what is that?
Get sign in.
Auth dot sign in. Execute that. And also we say on click auth dot sign off. Okay. So we'll add one more button. First, we'll see whether this is working. We'll say on click. Okay. We'll add auth dot get auth. Okay. So let's see how the UI is looking now. It's horrible because I didn't name it properly. Get auth. Okay, so fine. So I have things like this. So I have, let me see whether it is calling our code, auth.js, right? So let's sign in, sign off, and get auth. Login. Yes, I logged in. Oh, what is this?
Constructor should have a defined name.
State.
Sorry. No, what is this? Cannot say. So the property, this is bounded to something. Let me see.
I think here this is not required, no? Constructor.
Wait. Oh, no. So let's call this. You don't assign as this one. Instead, you call from the instance itself.
Okay.
Now, let us. Now let's see things will work. I believe so. See login. So this dot authenticated false. It is setting to true now. I'll let it log out. I'll set it to false. If I call the get auth, it will return me get auth. It's false. So let me see logout. It's fine. Let me log in. See if I see the get auth, it should be true. Perfect. Okay, perfect. Now what we'll do, we'll use this. Okay, we'll go to our application.js, right? Uh, we will import this first. Okay, we import. What is that? We'll import auth, right? We'll import auth. Then what we'll do, uh, we'll show the home anyway. When we are showing the about, what we see, we'll say auth dot get auth. If it is true, what we'll do, we'll use another method, component called redirect from React router. There is something called redirect, so that you can specify some path. So it will take you to the home. If you don't log in, it will take you to the this one, right? Or else it will take you to the about component. Is it fine?
Wait. You say how did you define it? Show me. So there is a route. For routes. Okay.
For about, if it is authenticated, then it will, sorry, if it is not authenticated, redirect you into a home page. If it is authenticated, it will show the about.
Where is the route? You have defined the route for about. No, wait. Where does it?
About, yeah, here I'm writing, no, inside that. You see this right like this. I think I didn't close that route, is it?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, you close it there itself. Remove that. Yeah, now it makes sense.
So now, perfect. Okay. Now what we'll see? See something. Let's keep executing. You see one thing. It is not showing about. Let's log in. Okay. Offers. Get out. about? Still, it is not getting that. Okay. Is it a separate instance? Hmm. Let me try. Another project I've tried yesterday with this project. Where is the app.js? Quoting this. Where is the app.js? Okay, is it state calls login? Okay, so this is fine again. I'm using the private, but it should work. I think. Why it is not working? Okay, it has to be. Oh, sorry guys. I just made a damn mistake. So router session. I should not use like this. I should use render.
Okay, this has to be written inside the render option. Now login. Okay.
Something is happening. See, right about what is art? Art.
No, if it is redirect, you have only put for not condition, right? For true condition, you have to return something, right? Ideally. Okay, you already put that. Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
again, whether I did mistakes here, let me figure it out. Some standard I'm just missing, I guess. Let me see that. So I'll redirect to okay, logged-in component. That's all coming fine only. What is the problem? It's getting a truth only. But what reason is going? There is about component. Yeah, I'm about. But why it's not rendering about? Should I return something? It's already written over. Give a second. Router session, router demo.
Yeah, so the render should return something, right?
That's what
You
I'm.
just put the return statement before the render. No,
No,
that's not.
no. Yeah, that is required. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Just checking.
Okay. No.
Session, you have to return only. Actually, you don't need this curly, I believe. I don't think so. You need this curly. Shit. You don't need this out for some reason. There is something is fishy here now. Is that fine now? About still go. Yeah, you are not logged in. Okay, got it. Yeah, that's a problem with some basic JavaScript issue that what Suraj just said. So, so that's also the previous session question, right? You can create a class and you can use it, right? And
Yeah.
this is one of the example as a protected route. Okay, protected route is like you wanted to avoid some users to see some certain things, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
For that matter, you add a protected route. Protected route uses the authentication stuff and validates it. So what you can do is you can create a new file as protected.js, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that what you can do is I'll already have done something, so I'll take that thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I simply paste it here so that I'll speed up the thing. So what's that session? So I'll say private route. See, it's one thing you can name something and you can export something, so that matters not a matter. But you have to import it using the same name. Okay. So what we can do is again we have auth. This is a right export. I mean, is it a right import? Let's see. Import auth. Yeah. So we imported auth instead of this logged in, get auth, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's use the private route. Go to app.js and what we can do is we can get all this get rid of this. We can use private route. Private route. I think that won't work out. Let me import it up. I think I can remove this route redirect and all that. I can import private route. So I can use instead of route, I'll use a private route, and I specify the component, and then I'll specify the above component, and that comes to your protected route. This is destructuring of the JavaScript, right? And this is using a route again and wraps some props that you pass it. And yeah, so that does the same job as that. So let us see what it does. I'm using the protected route again. Yeah, using protected route now. Let's see. Now I'll say go to about. It won't allow me to use the thing. Let me log in. When I use about, it's checking for the status. Yeah, I'm done. Right.
Okay.
So this is something you know you can use like this, or you can use simply to as a slash, whatever it may be, right?
Mm.
So this is how you achieve the redirect. This is how you achieve the private routing. I mean, this is what they call as a protected route.
Good. Good.
Okay,
Okay.
got it. So
Yeah.
there is something we haven't talked about is a nested route.
Mm.
So now what we seen is we always have route is defined only inside app.js, right?
Yeah.
So is it you can say can't we use this somewhere else, one of the route, right? So
Same.
that is also, yeah, you can add route in any component in anywhere, but how it looks like uh, instead of that site, let me run this site. This site is might be working now. uh, Let me take into this some local host 3000. Is it running? Yeah, login home. Let's say, so this is again uses auth only. You guys don't get confused. So protected route. If I go to the topics, now you see something interesting here. I'm rendering the topics, right? Slash topics.
Yeah.
So okay, so you see what is the topics now. Topics another component, right? That has some link again like this components and prop versus state, and that has its own switch and route.
Oh,
So
it
ultimately, how it looks like is if I use this, it will add topic slash components.
was a
So you
component. So, okay.
sub level.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, got it.
So that's how you can keep go on and you add routings. So
Uh,
it's not like you are ending up in one place and something like that. So you can use routing as much as possible. You can do as much as nested routing. So why I'm saying is, unfortunately, somewhere they're doing some order, some crap is happened, and you wanted to redirect to the home page. Again, you have to add the routing over there, and instead of that, you can do that like this, right? You can add a switch. You can, or else you have one more thing also. If you, for example, some situation has happened, you can simply use some sort of hooks is there. Okay.
Mhm.
Now tell me if you understood this much.
Yeah.
Sijo, I think I'm not seeing Sijo.
I yeah.
So you are clear till this?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So in most of the React place, there's something called use. They are called hooks. Use
Mhm.
effect, use state, all are hooks. So React router also something has hooks called use history, use location, use params, use route match, and all that. Okay. So from here, what you see, use history, that gives you an instance of history object. Okay.
Okay.
So what I'll show you is, so this is the use params, and okay, let me show you how that looks. Let me open the topics file. So what it actually gives to us. Okay, let me put a debugger in the params and something called route match. Okay, now let me go to the home now, and I'll go to the topics now. If we call this hook, what it basically give you is, it will give you these things. Whether it is exact truth, what is your path, and what is your URL. Okay, so
Okay.
your current use route match will give you the current path.
Okay.
That is slash topics. So why you need that? When you are inside another child component, you have to build the URL, right?
So for use route, what is the component that you have to import?
Sorry. No, these are again part of a React router DOM only. Use route match.
Okay. 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 Fine.
These
Okay.
are hook. These are hooks.
Okay.
So sometimes you have to build some URL, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
From the URL to do that. So you can use a reuse route match. Okay. And there is something match dot path and all that. Okay. Now just keep eye on this. I'll tell you what is this. Okay. That colon topic ID. You see colon topic ID. Keep eye on that. So now let us see the topic is rendered, right? Now they keep the eye on the URL. Now I'm going to the component. Now
Okay.
the URL changed into topic slash component because I've given, when I click on the components URL, you go to this URL, right?
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
in the route, what I said, if you are going to that URL, it should be like your match.path and that will match the topic ID. Okay, this may be looking something different. This is nothing like your ID property that may be used in some other thing. If you see, there is another hook called use params. If we call the use param hook, what it basically give you is what is your current topic ID, which is a slash after that. That is the components. You can extract the params from that. So that's a use param hook.
Okay.
So
Okay.
like this purpose, and there is something called use history. Let me take the use history also. So I'll show you what the use history look like. Use history. 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 You remember I was telling you can use the push method.
Huh.
Yeah.
Now you can do that. I'll show you that. I think, yeah. So let's go to the topics again. Sorry, I stopped at only this one. Go to the topics. Something happened. Go to the topics. Topic is not working. Something is happening. Use history of this. Is it because of the use history? Okay. Something crazy, yeah. Oh, what happened? Login. Oh shit, yeah. Topics. I know I looked at that. Okay. Now let's keep the topics again. You see the history?
Huh.
Now you can push it. Sometimes you are having something called go to home. You can say push
Okay,
slash.
so will this history not conflict with the this one? What is that? Browser history?
I think that is actually history from the browser only. I think they did something on top of it, or they use something. They use a history only.
They have okay.
They they run something on it. I didn't dig through much, but this is something history only.
Go
History
check the
API only.
prototype. Go to the prototype. Last subject. The last subject. Okay.
I don't
Mm,
think so. You can see something. They might have protected it. I don't. We have to see the definition only.
yeah, but how do they do this? Like browser functionality, how do they overwrite? My God. Okay.
Yeah, so that is all about React routing. So to summarize all of that, let me take you all into a documentation page. So we have done this. When there is no match, we added a not found, and we use the React switch to make sure to go to one particular switch. And there are few things maybe you can try out something like a base name or something. See, by default, our page is starting with the local host, right?
Mm.
You can start with dummy, some sort of default one. So
Mm.
for that, what you can do is when you're using a browser router and the initial part, right?
Mm.
So browser router, you use an index.js, right? So here what you can do is, oh, we didn't use it here. Oh, this is something different. Yeah, sorry for that. Let me. So here we used it in index.js. What you can do is there is something called base name. See, it's coming. So you'll say base name as Praveen, whatever. Is it this one? That's a 3000, right? You see, it added a Praveen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sort of things are like that is there, and you can play around, right?
Mm.
But
Okay.
it's all about what we did. It's all about route. It's all about all that.
You
Use
can
route
share
match. And sorry,
documentation. Can you share this documentation here?
no, that is a website. That's a website. It is a router, React router website itself.
Oh, okay, okay.
You simply go there, and you will eventually see what we've seen so far. Everything will be there. So whatever we tried, URL parameters and nesting and all that. See link to and the use param that gets see if you simply use the colon id, right, it will get the Netflix only, right, because we don't have any another slash, right. If you use something like path colon id, it expects you are inside a path and there is some sub route. You understood? So if you
Yeah.
don't have that, it will be your id only. So that's that. And some nesting what we seen and redirect, that's what related to auth. You have to set some fake authentication and all that, and custom link and preventing transition, all that. See, it's more of what we've seen.
It's really nice. Yeah. Okay.
So you just see sometimes on demand only will get the nav, right? So that time what happens, you get the navs like this, you may have to construct the nav, and you have to build the nav bar from the switch using the map,
Mm.
right.
Yeah.
You eventually see more of a map, okay. And there are few properties other than what I said, maybe with respect to hooks and all that.
Mhm.
So it's just that when we start using, we'll use it.
Right,
We
right, right.
rarely use it, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't go much of it.
It won't make sense. Like, yeah. But at least the basics is fine now.
So I
Uh,
covered most of the part, as I
yeah.
said.
Mm.
So I covered almost 90 and 85% of things. It's just that. So one thing we have to remember, we have to wrap the things inside a route is only need to be rendered on the routing. So
Mm.
rest of the things you have to keep it aside as a top or something like that, right?
But,
So I think we are almost 1 o'clock now, and so if you guys install the Git, I'll give you the short intro about the Git, or else we'll end up the session. We'll start the Git later.
yeah, I think Git we can have later then. So,
Oh, that's fine.
yeah,
You guys can, yeah, no problem.
we have.
So you make sure you install the Git. right?
That is installed.
Once you,
I have installed already.
okay, if you install a Git, just try Git log and
Okay.
all that. Is it working or not?
Okay.
Simply, we'll see next session about other topics. Maybe we'll slowly see things. So I'll stop the session. You can stop the recording.
Okay.